I am Cynthia Garner, and I am delighted to be offering you this session today just from my heart and from a place of really being motivated to channel this kind of intensity of energy and activation that many people are facing towards positive action and the change that we need to see in these times. There's a huge amount of energy in anger and frustration and anxiety. And if we can work skillfully with those things, then it becomes possible to really be an agent of change without necessarily having to, uh, blow yourself out or be you know, dysregulated along the way. The potential for widespread anxiety and fear and uncertainty and reactivity is very, very high today, and just in these times in general, as many, many millions of people are facing enormous challenges. And our task, I think, as caring, awakened beings is to be really grounded and committed to our self-regulation, our self-care, and to really develop the capacity within ourselves to be a refuge for ourselves and for others. And I think we can do this with relatively simple practices. And what I'll be offering you today comes from my training in mindfulness-based stress reduction, as well as trauma-sensitive practices, my own trauma healing journey as I worked through many years of emotional abuse and challenges with that. And today we'll just start. We'll start here in a few minutes by just cultivating this sense of presence with ourselves, being with what's here, and attentional control. So we can kind of strengthen that mental fitness and be uh, in the driver's seat of our own attention. That's really the biggest risk in these times, is just getting sucked in to all of the fear-based thinking and the doom scrolling, the numbing, the dissociating. So I'm really grateful you're here. And I'd like to invite us to go ahead and get started with a brief practice. This is just a somatic exercise. And then we'll go into a little bit of a more formal mindfulness practice. And we'll have some time for reflection and sharing and questions, and debrief a little bit from there. My hope is that you'll walk away with some tangible tools and practical skills that you can use moving forward in the coming days and weeks and months. So before we do this formal mindfulness practice, I'd like to invite you just to kind of get comfortable in your spot, whatever you've chosen, and whether that means video on or video off, it's totally up to you. I'm going to offer just a few kind of general guidelines for how to move into practice in a trauma-sensitive and caring way. So first of all, most importantly, please take care of yourself. Number one, stay in choice. You are in charge of how you hold yourself in this moment and where you place your attention. If anything that I'm offering becomes overwhelming or too triggering, you're more than welcome to open your eyes if they've been closed, to stand up and stretch, to walk around, to do something different than what I am guiding. Please give yourself permission to take care of your body. Take care of each other as we move into periods of sharing. There may be some big feelings, big emotions, and we want to just make sure that we are really checking for intention and impact as we share. So sharing from our direct present moment experience rather than giving advice or feedback on somebody else's experience as best we can. And coming from non-judgment, curiosity, and care with ourselves and with each other. So this first little somatic exercise is a practice I learned from a man named David Treleaven, who wrote a wonderful book called Trauma Sensitive Mindfulness. And so I'll invite you to make a fist with one hand. So this can be a fist that is relatively angry. Its job is to stay closed. And so giving yourself permission to really, let yourself have this fist. And you might even put all the charge and emotions that kind of go with all the events of today into that fist. And then with the other hand, the invitation is to try to pry that fist open. And just notice what happens as you do that. You may not be real comfortable, just paying attention to what you notice as you try to pry that fist open, remembering that the job of this fist is to stay closed. You don't have to do that for too long. You can shake that out. And we're going to try that again, but in a slightly different way. So I invite you again to make a fist. And again, this fist is, its job is to stay closed. It may be a very angry fist. And for this side, instead of trying to pry the fist open, the invitation is to bring the other hand underneath and to cradle the fist. You might even imagine that the cradling hand is helping the fist stay closed. And just notice what that's like. And so you can shake that off, release that practice. And I would be very interested if anybody is willing to share what they noticed in that experience. You're welcome to take yourself off mute and to let us know what you noticed as you did that little practice.
Yes, I noticed that it was hard to pry my hand open, but it felt comforting to hold my fist and just let it be. It's like, okay, like I actually feel like it's okay to have some anger about what's happening in my world, but to not let it devour me. I'm not willing to give it that much power.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, any other reflections different?
Yeah, I noticed, yeah, it was hard the first time to pry it open, and there was definitely more tension and in my jaw and kind of in my whole body. And then with my hand being held, my fist in some ways, I felt like a just more breath and not relaxing, but just able to be there, have a little bit more like compassion, presence, and not so focused on the opening of like wanting something, but more just, yeah, this sense of just like, here it is. And it felt really calming with the anger. So it felt like a really good, support.
Yeah, great, great. Thank you. Thank you. Any other responses, reflections? Okay, so, this practice is very, very interesting to me. I do it with just about everybody that I work with right off the bat as one of the very first things I do. And those of you who shared, thank you very much for your willingness to share. Yeah, did you want to share? No, okay, that's fine. No pressure. So this practice to me kind of represents what's at the heart of mindfulness as an intervention in our own kind of well-being and mental health, and in a systemic way if we're working with others as well. So if we think about, the anger that we put into this fist, and what we're trying to do when we want to pry the fist open is we're saying that the anger is a problem, and we're trying to make it go away. Like, this anger doesn't belong here. I don't want it. It's bad. don't want this fist. But if we cradle the fist instead and we hold that experience of being a fist with some care without trying to make it different, without trying to make it change, and we support it and maybe even help it be what it is, there's this kind of automatic softening and welcoming that happens as we do that. And this is a relatively universal experience among just about everybody I've worked with. If you had a very different experience, that's totally fine. There's no one size fits all. But when we exile parts of our experience, when we take our emotions and we say, this is not okay, this needs to go away, it really adds a lot of tension in our system. And we have to do a lot of work to hold that experience kind of out of sight, out of mind, and to tuck it into those corners, but it doesn't just go away. When we instead are willing to be with and care for and cradle this experience, even if it's a very challenging or unpleasant emotion, what gets to happen is we get to care for ourselves and we're giving ourselves permission to be as we are without saying that part of us is bad or part of us needs to be silenced or put away in order to show up. And so this practice has a lot of implications, but the invitation that I want to offer you, just as we go about this formal mindfulness practice that we'll dive into here in a moment, is to just as best you can, when you notice that you are trying to ignore, avoid, numb, silence an experience that you are having, actually do the physical exercise of cradling this fist in your hand and giving yourself that gesture of care. This is here. This belongs. This is a part of me. Giving yourself that permission to feel your feelings. They say the felt experience of an emotion lasts for about 90 seconds in your body. And so if you can ride that wave and be with that experience of emotion for those 90 seconds, it will kind of peak and subside and pass in general. And if it continues for longer than 90 seconds, they say that you are re-triggering that emotion with your thoughts. So feeling your feelings rather than thinking your feelings as an invitation to give yourself permission to just be the human being that you are with all of these big emotions, because they have a lot for us. There's a lot of energy in those emotions. And if we allow them, then we have the opportunity to get information from them and work skillfully with them. Any questions or comments about that practice or what you're noticing before we move into a formal mindfulness exercise? Okay, great. Well, feel free to throw questions in the chat and I will try to keep an eye on that if you need to. Let me know anything or ask me anything and I'll do my best to respond to those. But okay, great. So let's go ahead and we'll start this practice by just once again finding your seat, getting comfortable. You might rock back and forth on your sits bones a little bit wherever you are, starting to root down through the points of contact in the body, noticing where your body connects to the surface that you're sitting on or standing on or lying on if you're lying down. And welcoming yourself, allowing yourself to arrive here in this moment, here in this body. You might notice the sensations of gravity in the body. Noticing the support that's available from the chair or the floor, and see if you can allow yourself to be supported just a little bit more. Letting the chair, or the cushion, or the floor take over the work of holding up your body. And if it feels comfortable, you're welcome to close the eyes or just resting the gaze on a point on the floor or the table a few feet in front of you. I'll invite you to just lengthen the spine a little bit, increasing the space between the vertebrae. Allowing the spine to be self-supporting and also at ease, upright, but not uptight. It might help to roll the shoulders a few times. So bring the shoulders up to the ears as you breathe in and exhale as you drop shoulders. Switch directions. That's needed. And letting the shoulders settle. Sometimes it can be helpful to imagine that you've just taken off a heavy backpack. There's nothing you have to carry right now. This is time that you have carved out to be with yourself, giving yourself the gift of your own attention. Nowhere to be, nothing to get done, no need to be anything for anyone. We can start to bring the focus of attention to the sensations of breathing. Noticing the movement of air in through the nostrils, filling the lungs, and the movement of air back out of the body. You may choose to place your attention on a place where you most notice the sensations of breathing. This might be the movement of your rib cage, the rising and falling of your chest. Just watching the breath come and go. There's no need to breathe any particular way. Just kind of letting the breath breathe itself. And if you notice attention being pulled into thoughts, future or past, just know that this is 100% normal. And your task is just to notice this movement of mind and then gently guide your attention back and resting attention with the sensations of breathing. Breathing in, bringing oxygen into the lungs that nourishes all the cells in your body. Breathing out, releasing CO2, what's no longer useful. Tension gets pulled into thinking, and we gently, with so much kindness, just guide it back to the sensations of the breath. When you're ready, I invite you to release the attention from the sensations of breathing and expand awareness to include the sensations in the body. Notice areas of tingling or pressure, coolness or warmth, tension, ease. Whatever you notice in the body, seeing if you can welcome what's here, as if cradling the fist. You notice sensations that are unpleasant or challenging. You can work with these in a couple of ways. One way is to welcome the sensations, to say yes to them and get curious. Bring your attention to the experience of the sensation and investigate it. Another way to work with discomfort is to intentionally shift attention to an anchor, such as the breath or such as sensation in another part of the body. And then to return attention back to the area of discomfort and investigate again. It's kind of dipping in and out of the experience of discomfort. And yet another way we can work with this unpleasant experience or an experience of discomfort is to ask, what's needed? How can I best care for myself given what's here? This might be placing a hand on the heart, might be giving yourself permission to move, change position. It might just be some kind words that you offer to yourself silently. Strong emotions generally tend to show up in the torso of the body, either in the area of the heart or the solar plexus or in the gut. If there's an experience of emotion here, investigating it as best you can, taking the perspective of the witness or observer. Noticing the sensations that accompany that emotion. Might be quivering or heat, tightness, For just these next few moments, seeing if you can welcome that experience. This is information. These sensations are a way of the body telling us what needs attention, what's not okay, what needs action. I invite you to imagine wrapping this experience of emotion, wrapping yourself in this light of loving awareness. If you're a visual thinker, you might imagine a ball of white light. If you're less of a visual thinker, you might offer yourself a gesture, a hand on the heart or a hand on the belly or both. How can I hold what's here in kind, loving awareness? If you haven't already, I invite you now to place a hand somewhere on the body in some gesture of self-soothing, holding yourself and feeling the weight, pressure of your hands, noticing that this tender part of you is being held. This gesture of self-care and self-love is one that you can give yourself anytime, anywhere. And in the final moments of this practice, I invite you to let the hand speak to the heart or to whatever part of the body it's holding. What words or message does the hand have for this tender part? Letting this phrase become a mantra or an anchor. It might be, this too belongs. I am welcome here. I've got you. I'm holding you. Now returning the attention to the sensations of breath, letting the hand drop back into the lap, giving yourself a few rounds of deeper, fuller breath, noticing again the sensations of breathing. Ready, and invite some gentle movement back into the body. Let the eyes blink open if they've been closed. Shake out the hands, gentle stretch. Thank you for your practice. And I would again love to open up the floor for any sharing or reflection. Very curious what you noticed in that practice, what showed up for you. And again, no pressure to share, totally optional.
It was very peaceful
Mm.
and self-accepting. So thank you for your offering.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
been pleasant. Thank you.
yeah. Yeah, Sheila, could I ask you a follow-up question?
Sure.
Great. I'm curious how you noticed the peaceful.
Um, I guess your voice was very soothing and your words were very affirming and kind of just reminding me that taking care of myself is a good idea.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's always nice to be held, I guess.
Thank you.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, everybody's got a different experience, so thank you for sharing yours.
I would agree with that. I really appreciate you leading this and being here today and just stopping and realizing like the deep, deep sorrow that's just hidden right so closely. So that's a good thing to acknowledge and take care of. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. There's something about that word sorrow that hits. I noticed that when you said that word, I just noticed it kind of wash over my body, and um, I think there's a lot of just collective sorrow happening right now for so many reasons. And there's no, finger pointing or blaming, but acknowledging that and giving ourselves permission to hold it and feel it and be with it feels really important.
Yeah, well said. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Any other reflection?
Yeah, I just noticed, sorrow, heaviness in the heart and in the shoulders and jaw. Um, and just like being held with the fist in the hand over the heart and belly, just being able to rest and just seeing it reduce on its own. With the care of like being, hearing your voice and my own touch and all of it, like the okayness and having that soften. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Um, yeah, the okayness. Yeah, I think especially with the modern media and the way we are bombarded by the not okayness, it's really critical that we resource ourselves by placing attention on, not just what is working, what is good, what is flourishing and positive in our life, but also to let it be okay to have experiences of not okay. It's okay to not be okay. And this is where, if we, look at history and some of the civil rights leaders and human rights leaders throughout human history, these periods of great upheaval where things are not okay are also, there's this kind of beautiful, magical alchemy that gets to come out of that if and when we allow those feelings and those experiences to get alchemized into right action and wise speech and forward movement, even if it's radical and different than what's happening in the greater collective. The overwhelming amount of information that is available. I mean, 99% of what comes in uh, is about the problems in the world and the fear and the devastation and the tragedies. And our minds are habituated to hook into this and to make that kind of the reality. And this is at the root of so much of our widespread anxiety, widespread suicidality, addiction, chronic pain, screen, use, all of these things, because we're hooked into this spiral of this, kind of attention on the threat. And there's threats everywhere. And this evolutionarily was designed to keep us safe from getting eaten out on the savannah. But it wasn't meant to be a constant, source of activation in our nervous system. So the task becomes to acknowledge, yes, we have this inherent negativity bias, and automatically our attention is naturally pulled towards the threat. And so in an era where threat is widespread and pervasive just in our daily kind of microcosm of our life, but also in the larger landscape of things, it is so tempting to get hooked into that habit of mind of thinking about the what ifs and, the disaster that's going to happen. So the antidote is to practice this kind of attentional control. And I believe it's actually really important to be pretty fierce about it right now in an era where our attention is commodified and it's being hijacked intentionally with no care for humanity, but really just as a tool for rich people to get richer. And so what I think our task is right now is to become absolute masters of mental fitness so that we can notice when we're going into that catastrophizing, that fear-based thinking, going down the rabbit hole of all the things that could go wrong. Take our attention back, place it on an anchor in the present moment, like the breath, sound, sensation in the body, a mantra, a hand on the heart. And then bring attention, even though it sometimes takes a little more work, to what's good, what's working, what's stable in your life, what's certain. If widespread uncertainty and fear is taking center stage, we can do this practice of returning attention to ourselves and saying, what is certain? What is safe? I'm in relative safety right now. My body is safe. I'm not in any immediate threat. So where is there safety in the present moment? Where is there certainty in the present moment? Well, I'm pretty sure my lungs are going to keep breathing and my heart's going to keep beating, at least for now. Let me just ground my attention in that certainty. I will share one small antidote, and then I am going to open it up again for a little bit of discussion, if you all are willing. I was in the grocery store a few days ago. It was the day that the temperatures were getting ready to plummet here in Colorado, and there was a big snowstorm coming, and I think it was Friday. And I hadn't thought about all of that happening when I decided to go to the grocery store. Um, and I actually chose to go to a grocery store I never go to because it's generally very, very busy. And so I got to the grocery store, and I'm not sure I've ever seen insanity like I saw at this grocery store the other day. I mean, lines going down the aisles, and it was like a traffic jam. You couldn't even walk. There were no carts available. And I could feel the uptick in the collective anxiety and stress in that place. And I felt like everybody that I was moving past was just barely holding it together. Like we were all just kind of on the edge, like, I just got to get the groceries and get home. And so I'm standing in this long line, and things are going on all around me, and I'm, steady in this line. And what I chose to do in that moment was just to really ground my attention in my feet. It's like, I'm going to just be this kind of stable rock right now. I'm going to just put my attention kind of fiercely on my own body, care for myself, feel the sensations, notice gravity, and just let that kind of stability and that groundedness be my vibe that I'm offering to this sea of anxious, frenzied people. And whether that had any impact on anybody else or not, I have no idea. But it had an impact on me, and it helped me not just kind of get through that situation and get out of there as fast as possible, but to feel as though, I was actually being of service with my nervous system. Our nervous systems are contagious. When we're anxious, our electromagnetic field shares that information with people around us, and they feel it and they pick up on it. And there are ways that I would love to teach you guys in a more formal class to kind of discern where that energy starts and stops, and what's coming in and what's going out, and to be able to read kind of that electromagnetic field of your nervous system. But your nervous system is the intervention. And this is true in classrooms, in meditation halls, in emergency rooms, in bedrooms, wherever there's this activation happening. When you can notice that and have those boundaries around your own energy and your own attention, kind of reclaim how you choose to be in this moment, your heart coherence of regulating yourself and being grounded and not dysregulated is actually going to have a positive impact on the world around you, whether it's just a smile at the cashier or letting somebody go in front of you in line who only has one or two items. That kind of grounding in the midst of distress, I think, is the biggest kind of, I don't like the word weapon, I'll say tool in our toolkit, but I think this is how we fight this era of fear-based thinking and discrimination and divisiveness. As we stay true to ourselves, we keep ourselves calm and grounded, and we get to be this beacon of love and light in the storm, no matter what happens. So that said, I would absolutely love to just kind of open up to some discussion. I'd love to hear a little bit about how all this is landing for you, what you brought into this call, what you're hoping to take out of it, questions. How do I, take this emotion and do that with it? Yeah, The floor is open. Please feel free to jump in. And if there's not anything necessarily to share, I would be glad to offer another brief practice before we complete at 11. So
Yeah, I'll just share. Yeah, it's good to be here. I mean, my reason for coming was just to be in community, and take time for self and all that's happening, redirect the energy because it can get swept away in the news and other things, and just focus on exactly what we're doing and practice and remember. I just don't think you can hear the message enough or practice enough. Just that. It's so hard in the moment, and just to continue strengthening that muscle of like grounding and just remembering like the bridge is love, and presence, and like grounded. The fierceness comes from like a grounded sturdiness within all the chaos that's happening. And so it's just a continual practice every day, every moment. For me, just like continually strengthening that can be so easy to get off just tilted. So I'm just grateful that I made this time for myself, that you were offering this, that I took advantage of it. I think it's easy to be like, no, I don't want to do that. There's other things to do. So yeah, just honoring that and acknowledging that. And it's just nice to be here and to be reminded and to practice even in this moment, knowing that there's a lot happening around the world in this moment. Yeah, so thanks.
yeah, thank you.
Resonate what you just said, Anne Marie. And I chose to participate in this, and I actually shared this with quite a few people and hoping they would come, but you can only invite them. And I work with immigrant children, and I have a lot of strong feelings about what's happening in our world with the environment and with the political world. And I also am really actively working on my own self-care. And I like to find ways to nurture that. And I was grateful for this offering. So I feel like when I take time to do things like this for myself, I always feel better, always. And that is really, I agree with what you were saying about being in the grocery store, that like we all like need to recognize when we're feeling a little more off, and to be able to pause and take those breaths. And it happens to me quite frequently when I'm teaching that I get thrown off kilter because the students are off kilter. And I have to really catch myself to not lose my temper, because they can be really rude and out of balance. And I have to hold the space for them, and it's exhausting. And the older I get, the more I am waning on my ability to do it. And I keep trying to circle back to that what I'm doing is contributing to, and I am helping, and that the more I can stay grounded, the more it's a contagious experience for others, even if you don't realize it in the moment. And it's within my family as well. So, yeah, so I just thank you for your time and generosity.
Yeah. Well, Sheila, thank you for your work that you're doing. And you know, it is hard. It's hard. It's a heavy lift. And I come out of eh, my practice formally really began after my divorce, and my ex-husband, um, really has a lot of challenges with mental illness, and I mean, you could call him a narcissist for sure. Um, but the bombardment towards me personally, was so constant. My primary symptom was intrusive thoughts. And so it was just kind of constant. Like it didn't matter, what time of day or what the nature of the communication was, with him, it would just get me into this like, and I couldn't sleep and I couldn't think clearly and I couldn't get my work done and I couldn't be present with my daughter and, all of this kind of spiral things. And it was a really heavy lift to do that, like stabilizing of attention over and over and over again. Like my mind is going into this. I have to come back. I have to come back. I have to come back. And that hard work, I wish we didn't have to do it. It's exhausting, but it's not as exhausting as the impact of all of that cyclical rumination and the kind of maladaptive cycle that happens when you're just adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, it's hard and we can do hard things.
Yep.
And the beauty of mindfulness as an intervention is that it is very simple in general. And so it's hard, not easy, but it's simple. It's simple. So if we can remember that and give ourselves these little tools like the breath, the hand on the heart. Another of my favorite meditations that help me so much, and I use with students of all ages, is an object meditation. And I've got this recording on my website. You're welcome to check it out. You just any object at all. I like to use an object from nature and just to hold it for a moment and bring my senses to that object. To help me stabilize using these very simple tools of placing attention on something that's happening in the present moment. I've heard that the number one rule of crisis management is don't make it worse.
Mm.
And when we're reactive and we're not grounded, that's what we have a tendency to do. We don't mean to, but it's just what kind of automatically happens. So those of us who are, have the capacity to do this hard work, to strengthen our attention, we do ultimately have a responsibility in these times to be fierce about that commitment, to staying regulated and staying calm and centered and focused on the task ahead, by grounding our attention in the present moment. Yeah, there's a lot here that I would love to unpack with you all. It would take probably a few years. And I do have some trainings and opportunities coming up that I'll keep you posted on that can help us deepen into some of these things. And any other comments, shares, reflections?
I really just appreciate all the reminders. And I'm particularly interested in what you had said about how did you actually say it? The way that you can take what you take in and how it affects other people. What was the word that you used and how it actually, so how your own emotions can then, like a train, filter onto people around you in the room, etc.
Oh, like contagious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, our nervous system is so intricate, and like there's so much information that comes from our electromagnetic field, everything other than our brain. I mean, there's so much that happens. We have neurons in our heart, we have neurons in our gut. The electromagnetic field of our heart extends 3 feet beyond our bodies. And so in general, like it's kind of like takes up your wingspan.
Huh.
And yeah, this is actually really interesting, that Vitruvian man kind of posture. If we were to kind of take that field and extend it around us in a giant circle, a giant sphere around us, that's basically our electromagnetic field. And it goes farther when we're feeling a strong emotion. Um, and so we're always giving and receiving information. If you've ever, if you have a intimate relationship where you've ever had a conflict, which I'm sure is just about everyone, there's something that happens when you stand closer than 3 feet to somebody. There's a shift. Or when you're farther, than 6 feet away, that your electromagnetic fields are not really overlapping. But then there's like communication that happens when you get closer. And so we can start to kind of train our nervous system to discern and, get to know these little subtle signals in our system that something's, here, or whether an emotion is ours or someone else's. And that's a really fascinating territory too, as far as boundaries goes. But I could keep going. We're going to run out of time here. So I want to make sure there aren't any more comments or shares or reflections. Okay. Well, thank you for your time. I'm gonna just kind of tag a couple of practices that you can use, and I'll send out this recording. There will be more to come. My hope is that this can become kind of a monthly group that meets, and I would like to kind of share resources with you all and grow it as much as possible into more of a movement. The fact that 5 of you are here on the call today is wonderful. There were about 15 people who signed up. So, that is to be expected. Taking this time for yourself and turning inwards is not easy. And so thank you to those of you who are here and to those of you who may watch this in the future. And some of the skills that we use today, one is called pendulation. And this is a skill used in trauma work that's very, very important. And this involves starting from a place of stability and resource and gently kind of going in and out of the experience of difficulty. And so you can think of this like you're standing on the shore of a lake, and maybe the lake is the trauma experience, or, the systemic disease, whatever it is that's really, activating. We start from this place of resource. We dip a toe in to the water, and then we come back to the shore and ground again. And then maybe we can wade in up to our ankles. We come back to the shore. And we kind of strengthen our capacity to be with the difficulty, widening our window of tolerance. So pendulation, we did that in our practice, where I had you kind of check it out and then come back to the body. Check it out, come back to the breath. So please use that skill as much as you need to. Resourcing and grounding with the senses, breath, sensations in the body. Those are lifelines, absolutely. And one we didn't get to explore as much, which I'd love to explore more, is just intentional movement. Agency and movement, and just being in charge of how you hold your body, paying attention to where there's that tension and where that constriction and bracing and holding is happening in your body, and giving yourself permission to soften, to ground. When I was in the grocery store doing that, kind of centering practice, one of the things that happens for me just about every time I do that is my sacrum and my hips as soon as I bring attention, I notice that I'm kind of clenching and I get to soften there. And so just giving yourself permission to keep the body open and responsive and soft, and to care for it with that movement. A lot of times we get stuck and trapped, and it's kind of a freeze response. So inviting gentle, intentional movement. If you don't have it already, I highly recommend you pick up a copy of my book, Fierce Boundaries. It's on Amazon. I'll include a link in the email that I send out to follow up. And if you do have it, please go ahead and leave a review on Amazon. That would really help me out. And I have kind of one final practice for us to complete together. Those of you who don't have video on, I invite you to turn video on if it feels available. There's no pressure to do that at all. But for this one, what we're going to do is, let me just change the, yay. Oh, it's great to see you all. So we're going to just imagine that our computer screen is a campfire. We're going to warm our hands over the campfire. Just kind of gathering this heat, this collective energy. And then we can kind of show our palms as if that fire is warming the palms of our hands, gathering up all this energy, this heat, this love and warmth from everybody who's here, and bring it, tuck it into our hearts. Thank you all for your willingness to be here today, to be with these challenging times, to be an agent of change and a beacon of light. Thank you. Hope to see you all again soon.